Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob from Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have a very interesting review, if you will, overview of a knife that I've really enjoyed. I got this in from KUNWU Knives. It took a little while to get to me. This is the Pulsar in LMAX steel. This is the titanium scaled one. It is really scales put outside a steel liner lock. It's an LMAX steel. It is what they call the XT Lock, which is similar to the Axis lock from Benchmade or the Able lock from Hogue, but instead of having the little volcano type bar, it's attached to these sort of I don't know, you want to call them I don't know, thumb studs, I guess, sort of, I don't know, just little thumb ramps here that you can put your finger on, and it's attached to the bar here. You can see that, but it's kind of a nice aesthetic. It's in this channel right here, and I did put a little oil in there so it goes smoothly, right? And it does have a lanyard hole, but it's nice and rounded so it doesn't dig in your hand. It does have a deep pocket carry clip, which is milled. KUNWU designed this themselves. They don't have some fancy designer, which is really cool because that helps with the cost, and their designs are fantastic. They really knocked it out of the park with some of their stuff. It's just really, really cool to see some of their designs, and this one's no different. Now, I've been waiting for this one. It got stuck in customs for 5 weeks, which was a bummer. But I'm glad it finally made it through because I have enjoyed this knife like no tomorrow, and I can't wait to continue to buy some more of their knives. I also have their Tau S, which is their Sheepsfoot. Beautiful knife, by the way, if you haven't checked that out. I think they're doing pre-orders, or it's about to be dropped, their next iteration of that. So if you want to go check out KUNWU, look at my description down below. You can go there. I link that. I don't get any kickback or anything for that because I'm too small of a knife channel. I don't have any affiliates really. Well, I have one. I have one with Artisan Cutlery. Feel free to check that out. That helps me and the channel out. And then feel free to use the White Mountain Knives coupon down below. You get 10% off, right? If you do that on most knives. So that would be cool. Good for you for 10%, and then helps me and the channel out. So I'd appreciate that. But this KUNWU Pulsar is awesome. I like this. All right, so let's talk a little bit about everything. It is I would call a true sheepsfoot, right? It comes up with a belly, nice rounded top. It's not a reverse Tanto. It's not a Warncliffe. There's no question about it to me. This is truly a sheepsfoot as far as I'm concerned, what I understand to be a sheepsfoot. Beautiful flat ground blade, comes down to a very thin edge at the bottom. LMAX steel is really, really nice. Beautiful satin finish on here that I think is just outstanding. Titanium textured scales, beautifully done right here as well. I really, really like that a lot. The milling on here is just really, really outstanding. You can see that. Now this is nice. It's not gritty. It's not like I had the Andrew Demko, their 20.5 in the titanium textured scales. When it would touch here between the clip, it would just rip up my jeans. It was just really rough. It was like sandpaper. I liked it, but it was just like sandpaper. This kind of slides all over, but it gives you texture when you hold there. So it gives you grip. That's really nice. And when it goes through here, it doesn't tear up my pants, which is really cool, right? And it's a little tight. I get it could be probably a little bit more room, but it does open up. So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, unless you've got super giant, thick, you know, like parachute pants and you're about to jump out of a B-52 or something, I guess maybe that might not be good. But otherwise, for normal people with jeans and slacks, this is great. Now, this is the XT Lock, which drops like a Able or Axis lock. And you have a fuller hole right here, which works really great for reverse deployment or even front flicking deployment. Now, as with the Axis Able lock, this XT Lock, it can also be used to open and close it as well, right? So you can do that as well. And it does drop really nicely because it's on caged ceramic ball bearings. Beautiful. I like that. This titanium texture is really nice. I love the pivot on here, which is really gorgeous. These little I guess you can call ramps on the XT Lock here bar work really nicely. They come off and on. I did replace the springs on here. It uses Omega springs. It came with regular Omega springs, and it came with some stronger Omega springs. And somebody was telling me that it's some sort of special springs made of different material. So you should definitely oil those because it's probably going to be a little more corrosion. It has more possibility of getting corrosion on there because it's a stronger steel. But so I always put the nano oil 85 weight in there to make sure my Omega springs and the whole lock here is nice and lubricated on the inside, right? But I put those in and they make a difference. It's nicer to have a stronger detent, especially it won't fly right out of your hand like that, right? So that's really nice. It does have the lanyard hole, so if you're big into that, you can use that. The pocket clip does reverse. I don't know if you can see that. So you lefties, you can go on the left side, being that it's an Axis lock, makes this completely ambidextrous, 100%, right? Because it's the same lock on both sides. So that makes it really nice. And I like to work on this knife left-handed as well, right? It's always fun to work this left-handed. Of course, I'm doing this on camera and talking, so I'm failing. It looks like I don't know how to do this. But anyways, that's the materials. The blade hole, the button lock, or not button lock, sorry, the XT lock, which is an Axis able lock, similar thing, right? It's the lock, the Benchmade Axis lock, their patent ran out, so everybody can copy it now, and they just call it different things. They call theirs the XT lock. I like this. I really like this a lot. This is cool. This is a titanium backspacer, by the way. These are T6s all the way around, except for this is a T8. I really wish these were T8s. It's kind of a bummer, and everything is executed so well. Make sure you get yourself some good screwdriver and bits for that if you're going to take this knife apart. I use WIA. I have a WIA short kind of a bit driver, and then I have the WIA bits. Definitely get those, and make sure when you go in 90 degrees, make sure you're laying flat. You don't let it slip out, so you're stripping everything. You should be fine if you do that. Don't over tighten them. Don't go crazy trying to tighten them ridiculously. Get some 242 Loctite. Put a little bit of that on the threads of the screws when you put them back in. Just nice and snug in there. It'll lock those screws in there. You shouldn't have them loosen or roll out, okay? So Loctite 242, definitely recommend that. But otherwise, this is beautiful. Rounded, kind of a back of the back of the blade here is really nice and rounded, not sharp. The jimping is really adequate. It's not crazy jimping. It's going to shred you apart, but gives you good traction. The finger choil right here, which is also a sharpening choil, works beautifully to choke up on, so you can do a nice precision cut, which if you have medium, large hands, which mine are, they're large widthwise, medium lengthwise. I have plenty of room with the choke position, and I have a full finger, four finger grip with a regular grip. So I think someone with a large to extra large probably could get there. When you get to extra large, get to double extra large, you know, you're getting to the point where you might fall over. But choking up, I think you can get up to 2x, 3x hands very easily, and there's plenty of room in that finger choil, unless you got massively, gargantuanly fat fingers, or meaty fingers, or whatever they are. You might get close there, but otherwise you can still choke up pretty back, nice and back here to get a good, you know, comfortable grip. You know, the pinch grip, everything works really nicely for a nice cut, precision cut. All that works great. And like I said, the action with the cage ceramic ball bearings are wonderful. I did put skiff washers in here. Work great. I told Steve, I mentioned this to Steve Skiff, and I mentioned if he wants to add it to his spreadsheet. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I did recommend the skiff washers that I use, and they work wonderfully. He sells them. I highly recommend them. I'll try to put that in the description below if you're interested or curious. Comment down below if you want to know more about that. I did do a video where I installed them, so check that out. I did install the videos on that. What else? So that is how it opens and then how it closes. Like I said, it's beautiful. Everything here is chamfered all the way around beautifully, so nothing is aggressive and hard. It's very comfortable. The ergonomics, everything, even the I guess the lock bar, if you will, the XT lock bar ramp studs or whatever they're called. I don't know, ramps here. They're very comfortable. Works really nicely. You know, sometimes when you have like a Benchmade, they have the little volcano bar that comes out. You know, you have to reach in there, pull it, and you just got to make sure you get the right angle so you can get the best traction. These, you just fit flat right on there, and they work usually really great, right? So it works really nicely. I like it a lot. Measurements. Let's get into the measurements of this knife, all right? Let's see how much this guy weighs. All right, so the titanium with the texture scale is 4.43 ounces, so it's not super light, right? It's not super light, but if we look on the inside, you will see, and you can see that. Let's see if we can get the light in there. It is milled out for weight reduction on the steel liners and for the titanium scale. So it has been milled out to reduce some of that weight, but 4.3 ounces, still a little heavy, right? We know that's not super light, but considering that this knife is about 7 and I want to say almost 7 3/4, maybe 7 5/8 of an inch long total length, you know, it's not the perfect ratios, right? It's not perfectly balanced, but The blade, the cutting length is going to be about 2 7/8 of an inch, right? If we look at the total cutting blade from the tip there, it's almost exactly 3 inches of cutting edge. And if you go from the tip of the blade to the base of the handle, you're about 3 3/8 of an inch. It's probably 3/8 of an inch, right? Definitely over 3 inches, so be careful with knife laws. If you have a knife law with blades longer than 3 inches, just be aware of that. Some laws, they're measured by the handle to the tip, right? Not necessarily the cutting blade, so just be aware of that. Total length here for the regular hand is going to be about 3.5 to 3 3/4, so probably about maybe 3 5/8 of an inch for the regular grip. If you choke up, you're definitely going to have a whole lot more room, so you're looking at about 4.5 to 4 5/8 of an inch. So definitely more and more room there. So that's nice. All right, let's look at the blade thickness on this knife. All right. All right, so we're zeroed out. So we're 123 hundredths of an inch, 124 hundredths of an inch. So definitely a little bit above 1/10 of an inch, certainly well below 2/10 of an inch, closer to 1/10, 124 hundredths of an inch. So that's not bad. It's about average. A lot of the knives I've been reviewing lately are right around that. That's a good EDC, very useful, very strong, sturdy kind of blade length. It's not super, super thin. It's not ridiculously super thick, right? So that's nice. It's not perfectly balanced, and you can see that because the balance is going to be back here, and so it does balance here nicely. So it'll feel very balanced when you hold it here. If you go up front, you'll definitely feel the weight back pulling down, but usually when you're up here, you're kind of doing a precision cut, so you're not going to notice as much, I don't think. It's more when you're here, if you're cutting a lot of boxes for long periods of time, it'll feel more comfortable here, right? So there's that. Now, budget-wise, is a knife category, is this a budget, or is this a regular knife, or is it a high-end knife? Well, this is going to run you about $239, at least that's the last price I paid, and they are making more of these. They should be dropping in April, so check them out. This runs $239, so it falls into my regular category. I'd definitely say it's regular, but it certainly has what I would call high-end touches. And KUNWU does a fantastic job. It's made in China. It's not a USA-made blade, just so you're up front. If you didn't know, this is a Chinese manufactured blade, all right? They do an outstanding job. The work here is fantastic, okay? And I think the value, the bang for the buck is ridiculous. It is just really a great deal. Everything you get, quality and craftsmanship, functionality, the design, the blade is beautifully centered, everything, the action is wonderful. Using that, fuller hole works really, really nicely, both left-handed and right. Oops, gotta make sure you get your finger in there. Works really great left-handed, right-handed. This is just a great knife. I like this a lot, and I think for a regular knife, this is great. Purpose, everyday carry. I think almost anything. I mean, that XT lock, the Able lock, Axis lock, whatever you want to call it, this is great. Very versatile. That locks up really well here with this bar. It goes across, if you can't see that, it goes in the back of the tang of the blade. Once it rolls up, it releases, but right here, when it locks over that, it locks that in place really solid, right? It's going to hold up really, really well. Those the Omega springs are usually very, very reliable. They tend not to break, and you have two of them, one on each side, so for the most part, it's usually a very reliable, safe knife, right? So there's that. I think the purpose really can be, this particular knife is going to look great even in, church or in the office. I think it's going to be very comfortable. Now it depends. Does this blade look threatening or ominous? I can't pronounce today. Does it look threatening or scary, if you will? Because I can't say the word that I want to say. If it does, then maybe not. But I think it looks really nice. In Texas, this wouldn't scare anybody. I mean, heck, I know women in their purses have way bigger knives than this most of the time. You can pull them out in HEB, right? Grocery store for us down here. Not a big deal. So, that's the nice thing about Texas. No one really cares about that. So the only place you can't do that, obviously, is in the airport or the courthouse. You can't do it there, obviously. You have to follow the law. And you should leave that in the car or at home if you're don't want to leave it in the car, right? So all that being said, I think just about anything you want to use this knife for. If you want to be cutting boxes, cereal, dog food, cat food, whatever, I think this would work really, really, really well. Okay, so ergos and feel. Handle design, fantastic. It's comfortable, no burn, no hot spots. I can hold this really tight grip, very, very comfortable. Everything's chamfer, it's really comfortable all the way around. Choking up is really, really, really comfortable. Doesn't burn dig into my hand here. It's very comfortable. I could use this long cutting. Handle design is great all the way around. The deployment is fantastic with the fuller hole. You know, I like the fuller hole. I mean, if you like thumb studs, you know, they make little attachments I think you can put on here. But I personally like this. I like this design. It's different. And they do make a version that looks a little bit like this, but are on the blade. And I know they're doing I think they're doing a Kickstarter for that right now. And that you can get in on that if it's still available. And it has the little, these little pieces on here, and so that you can actually open and close that with sort of like thumb studs, but they're a little shaped at an angle. So if everything you like about this and you don't like the fuller hole, you know, there's more coming. So that's definitely cool. But I like this. I actually like both. So I may want to get that other one, right? So I like that. So the deployment is great. And of course, XT Lock, you can do it one-handed like that too. So to me, that's fun. You can always do that. Or if you're trying to be quiet, you can just let it drop real quiet like that. So you're real secretive, right? But, you know, it's up to you, right? So deployment, closing, obviously, skiff K ceramic ball bearings, drops beautifully. Now it bounced there because I didn't release it, but if you release it just at the right moment, let's do it again. You try to get this right, not talk. Oops. I just did it, here we go. So see, it just locks in because the lock bar, the XT lock bar will lock it in place when it comes down here. And you can see that. It's almost like a D10, but it's not, it's a lock bar. So here, ready? See, it just locks in like that. So that's cool. All right. That's closing. Fidget factor. Fidget factor for this, I'm going to give this a solid 8. I think the maximum on this one is going to be an 8 because you have really one deployment with the XT Lock. So it's like 1.5 deployments. If it had, you know, a flipper, if it had a front flipper or something like that, that might get a little bit higher, you know, kind of a, you know, score as far as fidget factor. But I think 8 would be the maximum you can get out of this, and gets an 8 out of 8. So that's 100% for fidget factor, but realistically overall, I'm going to call this an 8 for fidget factor, which is great and fun and enjoyable. When I have this knife out, I am certainly fidgeting this knife a lot. So definitely really fun. Overall thoughts, and is it recommended? Yes, absolutely, absolutely recommend it. I think you will really enjoy this. You should check it out. I think it's a great bang for the buck. If you're okay with buying a Chinese knife, if you're not, then don't buy it. You know, you have the freedom to spend your money elsewhere. But I think this is great value. I think they do consistently good work. This particular version was 517 out of 600 run, so that's nice. It's LMAX steel, which I think is great steel. So I think this is a highly recommended knife for sure. It's not going to be. It's going to be a regular knife recommended. It's not a high-end recommended because it's not in the high-end price range. So definitely recommend it for that. So you should definitely check that out. I think it's great. That's kind of where I'm at. So if you have any questions about this knife, feel free to comment down below. I'd love to hear your comments, questions. I try to answer them all if you get a chance. And if you have any ideas for future videos or anything you'd like to see me do during a review unboxing, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And I really appreciate you watching this video. If you heard this far, then thank you. And if you have watched so far, would you please consider hitting the like button? And then if you have already liked the video, would you maybe also consider subscribing to my channel? Both liking and subscribing is a tremendous help to my channel. It'll help me out to be able to provide more content in the future. So I would really appreciate that if you would consider that. Thank you. And if you've already subscribed, maybe hit that notification button so you can be notified of future content that I release. And if you like all of that, then maybe if you get a chance, check me out on, trying to get my little card out over here, check me out on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. That's robs_nerdy_knives on Instagram. Hey, thanks so much for watching today. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.